The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
All these voices. All these voices. All these things you can't explain. All these painful memories. They keep haunting you and daunting me. It's just a ghost of you and me. It's just a smoke and gasoline. It's just a ghost of you and me. Of you and me. All these whispers, all these footsteps in the rain, all these shadows in my mind, with my reflection I can't find. It's just a ghost of you and me. It's just a smoke and gasoline. It's just a ghost of you and me, of you and me. Don't let 'em take you away. Don't let 'em bring you down inside. It's just the mirrors in your mind. Don't let 'em bring you down.
Hello, everyone. This is horror author James Hershey Jr., and Old Boy is not with us tonight. It's with a heavy heart that I tell you that Old Boy had a death in his family, and he's not going to be able to join us for the show tonight, but he will be back next week. So I'd like to take a moment really quickly for all the believers in the audience. If you would please include Old Boy and his family in your prayers, I would greatly appreciate that. Instead of playing a replay this week, because we had a replay last week because I was very, very sick. I got a really bad stomach bug, and I just couldn't function. And now this week, Old Boy had the death in the family. So instead of doing another replay, what I thought we would do is I wanted to give you a preview, so to speak, of this new idea that I have. I came up with a show called Paranormal News. And basically what it is it's videos that I put on my YouTube channel of news stories that have to do with the paranormal, whether they're ghost sightings or like cryptid sightings like Bigfoot or Nessie or something like that, or UFOs, just stuff that has to do with what we talk about on the show. And presenting those articles to you in a news type format where there's not a whole lot of commentary, it's just kind of me delivering the news to you. So what I'm going to do tonight is I want to give you a preview of that. I've done 3 episodes of that now, so I'm going to include some of that in the show tonight, and then I'll be back at the end of it to kind of wrap everything up. Once again, if you guys could please, if you're a believer, pray for Old Boy and his family. If you're not, just keep them in your thoughts and send positive energy or whatever. That would be greatly appreciated. So without further ado, I present to you the Paranormal News. Welcome to the very first episode of Paranormal News. Now what this is going to be is basically like a newscast. You're going to get a bunch of different stories from the world of the paranormal. I've done paranormal articles on the channel before. This is a way of just kind of combining a bunch of them and trying to cover a lot of different aspects of the paranormal. So, the first article comes from WHDH.com, and the title is Mystery Animal Caught on Camera Prowling Through Webster Yards. Now, if you look at this picture here for the video, you can see the animal there on the right here. To me, it looks like a jaguar, but we'll watch that video after we go through the article. Webster, Mass. WHDH. A mystery animal was caught on camera prowling through someone's backyard in Webster, leaving officials scratching their heads and neighbors on edge. Jackie Calloy first saw the animal with her own eyes earlier in the week, then decided to hook up her home security cameras in the backyard. She managed to catch it on video several times in just the last 2 days. I've actually lived in Colorado, Montana. I've seen big cats. I've never seen anything like this before, she said. It's the size of like a juvenile big cat. Chloe said she hopes someone can identify the animal quickly before anyone gets hurt. But for now, she is not letting her small dog Peanut outside unsupervised. And she is not the only one. I don't know what it was. It came right through here, and we think it's denning out in here sometimes. Neighbor Dave Chappell said. He has been keeping a close eye on his dog, Ebony, after he heard a startling noise behind his house while stargazing. It was like a wild cat or something, he said. It was something, and it was big. Whatever it ends up being, these neighbors are keeping watch for it and taking extra steps to stay safe. I come out with pepper spray, and I take a look around, and I make sure I check my cameras, Chloe said. All right, now let's check out this video.
To a wild sight in Webster. This mystery animal seen walking through someone's backyard, and officials are still trying to figure out what exactly it is.
Yeah, meanwhile, neighbors are on edge saying they are scared for their pets. A mystery animal on the prowl in Webster.
Its head came up to about here. So, from the ground sitting. So, I mean, that's quite a large animal.
Jackie Killoy first saw it with her own eyes earlier this week, then decided to hook up home security cameras in the backyard. She caught the animal on video several times in just the last few days.
I actually live in Colorado, Montana. I've seen big cats. I've never seen something like this before. It's the size of like a juvenile big cat.
Killoy wants the animal ID quickly before someone gets hurt. She's worried about the kids in the neighborhood and the dogs, and won't let Peanut go outside alone, and she's not the only one.
I don't know what it was. It came right through here, and we think it's denning out in here sometimes.
Dave Chappelle is keeping a close watch on his dog, Ebony. He was outside earlier this week watching the meteor shower when he was startled by a noise behind his house.
Like a wild cat or something, It was something, and it was big.
Whatever it ends up being, these neighbors are keeping an eye out for it and taking extra care to stay safe.
I come out with pepper spray and I take a look around before, and I make sure I check my cameras. But other than that, I just don't want to startle it.
Animal Control says it does not know what the mystery prowler is, and they're asking for neighbors to stay on the lookout and let them know if they see it.
Maybe a bobcat?
I don't know. I'm at a loss for this one. It looks like a cat, but maybe it looks bigger in person.
Yeah, I can't really tell.
So to me, it looked like a jaguar. And they have had reports of jaguars in the United States, all the way from Florida and up the East Coast. So to me, that makes a lot of sense. That most likely that was a jaguar that we're talking about. All right, the next article is from wvmetronews.com, and the title is Mothman Festival Called Off Because of COVID Restrictions, Organizers Say. It's by the Metro News staff, and it was published on June 11th, 2020. Point Pleasant, West Virginia. One of the highly popular festivals in the state, the Mothman Festival in Mason County, has been canceled due to COVID-19. Organizers said in a Facebook post on Thursday, due to many unknown factors and the guidelines for fairs and festivals now set forth by the state of West Virginia because of COVID-19, we are postponing Mothman Festival 2020. The event that commemorates the 1966 Point Pleasant Mothman sighting that gave birth to the infamous Red Eye Winged Legend has been scheduled for September 19th and 20th. The restrictions in place would affect the guest speakers, bus tours, hayride, vendor space, and traffic and pedestrian flow in a negative way, organizers said. This is the last thing we wanted to do, the Facebook post said. The state guidelines would be tough for the crowds of our size. Instead of the Mothman Festival being what it is and what we love, we feel the event would be subpar and lackluster to what has been built over the last 18 years. Plans have started for the Mothman Festival in 2021 on September 18th and 19th, and organizers promise a large 20th century celebration. All right, and here is the actual Facebook post. It says, due to many unknown factors and the guidelines for fairs and festivals now set forth by the state of West Virginia because of COVID-19, we are postponing Mothman Festival 2020. We want to give you the chance to change your plans and be able to do something else with your money and time. Point Pleasant, West Virginia still welcomes you at any time. This is the last thing we wanted to do. The restrictions would affect the guest speakers, bus tours, hayride, vendor space, and traffic, pedestrian flow, etc. in a negative way. The state guidelines would be tough for the crowds of our size. Instead of the Mothman Festival being what it is and what we love, we feel the event would be subpar and lackluster to what has been built over the last 18 years. That being said, we have started to plan for Mothman Festival 2021 on September 18th and 19th, 2021. We will celebrate the 20th year in 2021, and it will be a big one. Hope to see you there. Our next article comes from Michigan's Best. It is mlive.com. The title is "The Dogman is Back, This Time as a Beer," and this article is from February 5th, 2020. Beard's Brewery Justin Kazale was inspired to create the Dogman, a Scotch ale that is full-bodied, a bit boozy, but also a little sweet. The name comes from the legend of the Dogman, a werewolf-like creature that is known to inhabit the woods of northern Michigan. The beer comes in 8.5% ABV. Beards is located in Petoskey, Michigan, distributed statewide. Petoskey, Michigan. Have you heard of the Dogman, the legend? Brewer Justin Kazale of Beard's Brewery in Petoskey sure has, and he's paying tribute to this piece of northern Michigan folklore in a recently released Scotch ale, which is on tap and in the pub and throughout the state. The name comes from the legend of the Dogman, a werewolf-like creature that is known to inhabit the woods of the northern Lower Peninsula. Movies have been made, there is a song, and sightings date back to the late 1800s of a creature known to stand on its hind legs. As for the beer, Kazale said, the Dogman is a Scotch ale, which tends to be full-bodied, a bit boozy, but also a little sweet. It's a darker beer, but it's not roasty like a stout. It has more of a caramel thing going on, and it's made with cherry wood smoked malt, which gives it a touch of smokiness, but it's more than a beer, it's also a legend. The beer comes in 8.5% ABV. You can also find it in cans. As for what inspired him to make the beer, Kazale said, years back I was squirrel hunting at a local skate park, and it was nearing dusk as I rounded a corner of a path tunneling through the low-hanging cedars. Hoping to make it out of the forest before dark and keeping a brisk pace, I was suddenly halted by a low growl coming from the trailside brush. I stumbled back and drew my Mossberg, as an uncanny beast leapt before me. It was hunched over but stood tall, maybe 7 feet, and had a dark coat of coarse fur. I was frozen with terror as the creature snarled, exposing saber-like fangs and billowing steam from its nostrils in the crisp fall air. It resembled a werewolf, but was decidedly more dog-like. Before I could overcome my bewilderment, it slipped into a thicket across the trail and vanished. I regained my bearings and made a break for the road, feeling very alive. And this is a picture of the gentleman right here that made the beer. It's a tale which he admits. I'm not saying this was Dogman, but I'm not saying it wasn't the Dogman either. I was, of course, grateful not to have been mauled and was sufficiently motivated to honor the seemingly mythical entity. To this end, I have created the Dogman Ale, and intended to serve as a tribute to a sometimes merciful wilderness. The next article comes from Patch.com, and the title is "Demonic Voices Inside Joliet Murder Defendant's Head, Doctor Says." Robert Watson slipped into Harrah's Casino and Hotel on March 24, 2019, and stabbed a senior citizen to death during a robbery, police say. It was written by John Farrak from the Patch staff on August 12, 2020. And this here is a picture of the gentleman, I guess. I don't know why there's 2 separate pictures with different outfits. I don't know if he went in case of joint or what was going on. But that is a person of interest images from the Joliet Police Department. Joliet, Illinois. Dr. Monica Argumedo told a Will County jury Wednesday that Robert A. Watson should not stand trial for the March 24, 2019 fatal stabbing of a senior citizen at Joliet's Harrah Casino and Hotel because Watson is not mentally fit. The licensed psychiatrist maintained that Watson is not able to assist his Will County public defenders in their effort to represent him. The 6-person Will County jury heard testimony that Watson is plagued by demonic voices that are talking in his head. Also, Watson believes the police are targeting him and the mafia is pursuing him. During Tuesday's testimony, Dr. Anna Stapleton testified for the prosecution, suggesting Watson appears to be faking his mental illness. Watson has lost considerable weight at the Will County Jail from lack of eating. At the time, Dr. Argumedo interviewed him in late December. He had already been incarcerated for 9 months. Watson told her that he suspects the Will County correctional guards are spitting in his food, taking bites out of his food, or putting semen in his food. Dr. Argumedo testified Wednesday afternoon. Semen in his food, that is nasty. He was pretty delusional, she testified. He thought he was being persecuted by the guards. He believes his food is tainted by looking at it. That's why he won't eat it. As a result, Watson has used the Will County Jail commissary to purchase 50 honey buns, which are individually wrapped. Dr. Argumedu told Judge Dave Carlson's courtroom Wednesday. He only buys honey buns. The psychiatrist testified about Watson's eating habits in jail. He has delusions about being poisoned. And towards the end of Dr. Argumedu's mental fitness evaluation of Watson, last December 16th, Watson became antsy and he then spoke up. "Can I ask you a question?" she recalled Watson as saying. "Is it okay if I masturbate?" Watson asked her. "I said no." He said, "Too late. I can't help it." At that moment, last December 16th, Dr. Argumedu testified. She abruptly halted her interview of Watson inside one of the rooms at Will County Adult Detention Center. I don't blame her. "So I left," she remembered. She described Watson's behavior as very impulsive and very inappropriate. Dr. Argumedu testified Wednesday that it is her belief that Watson suffers from schizophrenia and from delusional behaviors. She believes his mental health began tumbling downhill around 2013, when he was 20 and living in Florida. At that time, Watson climbed on the roof of a tall building and was completely naked, threatening to jump to his death. He blamed the episode at the time on some bad marijuana, the jury heard. Dr. Argumedu testified she has 16 years' experience in the field of professional psychiatry. She has been licensed in Illinois since 2009. She has conducted more than 500 mental fitness evaluations and has testified as an expert witness over 40 times. Dr. Argumedu was called Wednesday as the defense expert witness of Watson's two court-appointed lawyers, Shanonda Tisdale and Ton Lindsay of the Will County Public Defender's Office. They are asking the jury to determine Watson is not mentally competent for his murder trial. In March 2019, Watson stabbed Emmanuel Bergerino of Hales Corners, Wisconsin, 26 times after ambushing the guest of Harris Casino on the 5th floor of the hotel during a Sunday night robbery, according to prosecutors. This week's rare mental fitness trial is in the courtroom of Will County Judge Dave Carlson. Prosecutors Tom Slazik and Elizabeth DeMagala have asked the six-person jury to find Watson mentally competent to stand trial on his pending first-degree murder charges. Dr. Argumedu also told the jury that Watson does what's known as the 1,000-yard stare. Watson stares at you without blinking, and it appears he is looking right through you, and you have no idea what's going through his mind, the defense team psychiatrist testified. There's no connection. They're staring right through you. You see that a lot with schizophrenia. He showed a lot of signs that were concerning to me, Dr. Argumedu told the jury. Tisdale, Watson's public defender, asked her expert witness, "What did you learn from the evaluation of Watson last December?" "He seemed to have a basic understanding of how court worked," the witness answered, "but he would not discuss his case at all. He discussed a lot of delusional beliefs. A few years back, when Watson was still living with his mother, he began grabbing huge blocks of snow and melting them because he said he didn't trust the tap water," Dr. Argumedu testified. On the morning after the Sunday night homicide at Harris Casino in downtown Joliet, Joliet police found Watson 2 blocks away. He was inside the Joliet Public Library. The Joliet transient was arrested and brought to the police station for questioning. Joliet police also recovered a handwritten document within Watson's possession, and the document revealed babbling, the idea of demons and him calling out to God to save him from the demons, Dr. Argumedu testified. Tisdale asked a licensed psychiatrist whether being diagnosed with schizophrenia means a person is not mentally competent to stand trial. "No," the witness answered. However, at this time, Mr. Watson is unfit to stand trial. He is unable to really understand these charges and work with his attorney, Dr. Argumedu testified. The 2 Will County prosecutors maintain that Watson is faking his mental illness in hopes of avoiding spending the rest of his life in a state prison facility, if convicted of his first-degree murder offense. Wouldn't you agree it's possible that they're creating some type of scenario to cover themselves? Isn't it possible? Slazik told the witnesses. He's also charged with murder, Slazik reminded Dr. Argumedu. "That is correct," she answered. "Do you recall the facts of the crime?" he followed up. "He stabbed someone to death in the casino allegedly," she replied. Slazik also revealed there are witnesses who saw Watson standing over the body in the hallway of the casino. "I can't speculate to someone standing over a body and what they're thinking," Dr. Argumedu answered the prosecutor. The witness conceded that Watson won't talk to his lead public defender. He does not feel she is helping him, and that's why he's not talking to her, Dr. Argumedo testified. Robert Watson's mental health fitness trial will resume Thursday, which will be the third day of courtroom testimony. And then there is a link here to the day one trial coverage. To me, it seems like he's a paranoid schizophrenic. That's what fits. You find a lot of times with paranoid schizophrenics, they have delusions of religious visions, like God and the devil talking to them. The next article comes from militarytimes.com, and the title is Pentagon Creates UFO Task Force to See if Aerial Objects Pose Threat. It was written by Howard Altman and J.D. Simpkins. The concern is out there. Pentagon officials on Friday confirmed the existence of a Navy-led unidentified aerial phenomena task force that will monitor ongoing encounters with strange aerial objects and determine whether these phenomena should be perceived as a threat. Approved on August 4th by Deputy Secretary of Defense David L. Norquist, the task force was officially launched to improve its understanding of and gain insight into the nature and origins of UAPs, according to a Friday evening news release. The mission of the task force is to detect, analyze, and catalog UAPs that could potentially pose a threat to U.S. national security. Pentagon officials did not immediately respond to questions about the timing of this announcement, what sparked it, or whether the UAP designation pertains directly to alien spacecraft. Quote, the Department of Defense and the military departments take any incursions by unauthorized aircraft into our training ranges or designated airspace very seriously and examine each report, end quote. The release states, quote, this includes examinations of incursions that are initially reported as UAP when the observer cannot immediately identify what he or she is observing, end quote. According to CNN, which first reported the launch of the UAP task force, members of Congress and Pentagon officials have long expressed concern regarding the appearance of unidentified aircraft in the vicinity of military installations. A consensus remains elusive, however, with some believing the sightings are intelligence-gathering drones operated by earthly adversaries rather than anything extraterrestrial. Amid uncertainty, the Senate Intelligence Committee voted in June to have Pentagon and intelligence personnel provide analysis of the encounters, a move spurred on by the official Pentagon release of 3 short videos showing encounters between U.S. aircraft and unidentified flying objects. The videos, 2 stemmed from the encounters in January of 2015, while the third dates back to November 2004, were released, quote, in order to clear up any misconceptions by the public on whether or not the footage that has been circulating was real, or whether or not there is more to the videos, end quote. Pentagon spokesperson Sue Gall said at the time. After circulating online for years, the now declassified videos captured the bewildered reactions of Navy pilots as they were witnessing the inexplicable flight behaviors of up-close and personal UFOs. Defense Department officials claim they initially withheld the release of the footage, partially to ensure nothing in the video required ongoing classification. All 3 are currently posted on the official Naval Air Systems Command page. After a thorough review, the department has determined that the authorized release of these unclassified videos does not reveal any sensitive capabilities or systems and does not impinge on any subsequent investigations of military airspace incursions by unidentified aerial phenomena. Gao added. The 2004 encounter, which the New York Times documented in 2017, took place over the Pacific Ocean, approximately 100 miles off the coast. Pilots were responding to an aerial assistance request from a naval cruiser after the vessel reported a series of unidentified aircraft sightings. Quote, it accelerated like nothing I've ever seen, end quote. One pilot told the New York Times about the encounter. Multiple air crew members described the object, which hovered at a low altitude over the water before speeding away, as oblong-shaped and about 40 feet in length, the report said. Following the encounter, the pilots departed for the vicinity of the cruiser, a location approximately 60 miles away, but briefly into the return trip, with about 40 miles remaining before the jets reached the cruiser. The ship radioed the pilots to say the UFO had already reappeared. One of the pilots told the New York Times he believed the object traversed the 60 miles in less than a minute. In one of the videos from 2015, one pilot described encountering a fleet of high-speed objects that at one point appeared to rotate in a static position. Quote, "Look at that thing, dude." End quote. One pilot says in the video, "It's rotating." Quote, "Dude, this is an effing drone, bro." Quote, another crew member says. While speculation has long been rife about whether Earthbound aliens will bring Klaatu Barada Nikto sentiments, the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee said he is more concerned about whether the operators of these objects speak the language of a near-peer enemy. Quote, "We have things flying over our military bases and places where we are conducting military exercises, and we don't know what it is, and it isn't ours. So that's a legitimate question to ask," Senator Marco Rubio told Miami's WFOR-TV. Quote, "Frankly, if it's something from outside this planet, that might actually be better than the fact that we've seen some sort of technological leap on behalf of the Chinese or the Russians or some other adversary," end quote. And that is the end of the article. To me, it's extremely interesting, this whole thing that's been going on. We covered it on the radio show on several different episodes as this thing has gone on and on and on. From the time the videos first came out to when the government actually admitted they were real. And very interesting stuff. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Paranormal News. We've got a doozy of a show tonight. In this one, we've got Annabelle. Did she escape or did she not escape? Is it true or is it not true? We're going to find that out tonight. We also have a little doll that is moving on its own on a TikTok video. I will read you the article and I will show you the video so you can see it for yourself. We also have a bubble around the earth and Ireland's most haunted castle or hotel or something like that for sale. So without further ado, let's get to the articles. All right, the title of this article is "I'd Be Concerned If Annabelle Really Did Leave. Museum owner puts haunted doll escape rumors to rest." Owner Terry Spera addressed Annabelle's escape rumors on social media in YouTube video. Yes, it's still true. Annabelle the haunted doll has not escaped from the Warren Occult Museum, located in Monroe, Connecticut. However, to reassure social media users, the escape is nothing more than a hoax. Museum owner and caretaker of Annabelle, Tony Spera, also the son-in-law of Edward and Lorraine Warren, posted a video to YouTube and stood alongside the doll on display, proving she is right where she belongs. "I'm in here in the museum because of the rumors that Annabelle has escaped," Spera said in the video. "I gotta tell you something. I don't know if you're gonna want to hear this or not, but Annabelle did not escape. She didn't take a trip, she didn't fly first class, and she didn't go visit her boyfriend." Annabelle's alive. Well, I shouldn't say alive. Annabelle is here in all of her infamous glory. She never left the museum, Spera assured social media users. The rumors of Annabelle's escape began Friday after an internet user changed the doll's Wikipedia page, claiming she had escaped from the museum. The Wikipedia page has since been corrected. Still, social media was ablaze with the rumor. Spera said in the YouTube video that the museum, which is currently closed due to a zoning violation last year, has high-tech security. So if the doll actually had left the premises, Spera said he would have been aware. "Remember, I have high-tech security here. If she had left the museum, I'd instantly know if something happened or if someone broke in," Spera said. "We have good alarm systems here, and the police are very good to respond." Ultimately, Spera said he wants to put the rumors to rest, but that isn't without a word of caution. In case Annabelle did actually ever leave. "Let's put the rumors to rest, guys," Spera said. "I appreciate all the concern. I'd be concerned if Annabelle really did leave because she's nothing to play with." Annabelle's story was told in the horror film series The Conjuring, and she resides in the Warrens Museum for the time being. Before she was turned over to the Warrens, the doll was first owned by two women who claimed she was moving through their apartment and was leaving written notes, according to a Newsweek report. The owners of the doll then consulted with a psychic. Some paranormal experts claim the doll was tied to a demonic spirit, pretending to be a child. Newsweek reports. Eventually, the doll went into the Warrens' possession, which led to Annabelle being housed in their museum before its closure. Even on the Warrens' first car ride with the doll, Newsweek said the pair claimed they were put in serious danger, and they believed Annabelle caused their car's brakes to fail. And that is the end of the article, so you can rest easy. Annabelle has not escaped. That is all a rumor and a hoax. It is not true. Annabelle is still kept safe and sound in the Warrens Museum. This next story comes from Yahoo Life, and it is titled In the Know. Haunted moving toy leaves TikTok users horror struck. You need to cleanse that room. It was written by Morgan Greenwald, August 10th, 2020. A TikTok user is freaking people out after capturing a haunted toy moving on camera. On August 2nd, user Holly Armstrong posted a video of a Chucky-esque doll sitting on the top shelf of a closet, which already has nearly 1 million likes. Though you can't see the doll's face in the video, you can see its legs, and they are inexplicably moving as if the doll is tapping its feet. In overlaid text, Armstrong said that she took the video 5 seconds before she jetted out of the house and threw a match behind her. Of course, Armstrong didn't actually set the house on fire, but the seemingly possessed doll did spook her and plenty of people in the comments. I'm terrified, one person said. Nah, bro, that's Chucky, another user added. You need to cleanse that room and tell that spirit to go, a third person noted. Since many people were concerned for Armstrong's safety, she posted a follow-up video on August 6th, explaining that she came across the doll while house sitting. I felt creepy crawlies just being upstairs by myself, she said. All that happened is I left afterwards and I notified the family. They're going to further investigate it. And that is, I believe, the end of the article. Alright, so now let's go and let's actually check out this video. Well, there you saw it for yourself. The doll's legs were moving and kicking. Now, could that have been faked? Could it be done with strings like a puppeteer kind of thing? Maybe. You don't get to see enough of it to really make a really good call on it. It is partially hidden, but there you have it. You can judge for yourself. This next article comes from SmithsonianMagazine.com, and the title is You Could Be the Next Owner of Ireland's Most Haunted House. Local legend claims that the devil visited Loftus Hall, now on sale for $2.87 million during the 18th century. It was written by Teresa Mathamer. That is a picture right there of the actual property. It's a pretty spooky looking place. It's 22 bedroom, 63 acres of land, not bad. It's written by Teresa Mathamer on July 28, 2020. On a stormy night in the 18th century, a stranger came knocking on the door of Ireland's Loftus Hall. Since the property's private shoreline was a common stopping point for sailors navigating turbulent weather, its residents, the Tottenham family, didn't find the visit unusual. The man stayed for several days, befriending the family and taking a particular shine to one of the owner's daughters, Anne. One day, the Tottenhams gathered to play a game of cards with their guest. They were about to start a round when Anne realized she dropped either her ring or a card. When she leaned down to pick it up, she saw that the stranger had cloven hoofs, a sure sign of a satanic spirit. As Anne screamed with fright, the man escaped through the ceiling. A sudden clap of thunder sounded, and a cloud of smoke appeared, leaving the family surrounded by the smell of burning sulfur. Anne never recovered from the shock, and after her death, her restless spirit started wandering the house's halls, or so the story goes. Now reports Michael Debzik for Mental Floss, the historic mansion at the center of this local legend is on sale for $2.87 million. Loftus Hall's most recent owners, Shane and Aidan Quigley, purchased the home in 2011, completing serious structural renovations while retaining the home's spooky character. They also started offering haunted tours and overnight programs. The County Wexford estate made headlines in 2014 when visitor Thomas Beavis snapped a photo that some observers interpreted as two ghostly figures standing in a window, per Joanna Gillen of Ancient Origins. The following year, American TV show Ghost Adventures spotlighted the hall in a Halloween special. According to Irish Central, the Marquis of Ely built the mansion seen today over the ruins of Redmond Hall, a 14th century property purchased by the eponymous Loftus family during the 17th century. Constructed between 1865 and 1875, the current building almost entirely replaced the one featured in the ghost story. Long after the stranger's visit, Renovations reportedly unearthed the remains of a young infant hidden in the walls of the tapestry room, where Anne was supposedly isolated after her brush with the devil. The discovery led some to speculate that the young woman was shut away after getting pregnant out of wedlock, perhaps due to a rendezvous with a mysterious stranger, later cast as the devil in disguise, writes Linda Daly for Mansion Global. During the 20th century, the 22-bedroom mansion served as a convent and a hotel, per the Sunday Times author Ian Colfer, based on Artemis Fowl series Fowl Manor on Loftus Hall, after working at the then hotel as a teenager. But by the time the Quigleys purchased the property in 2011, it was in a decidedly derelict state. The family undertook extensive construction work, including repairing the roof and restoring the Great Hall's Italian staircase and stained glass skylight. Though they intentionally preserved certain historical features, like the house's peeling wallpaper, they also added modern amenities, such as a cafe and a reception area. The 27,124 square foot property's next owner will have their work cut out for them. Replacing the building's 97 windows alone could cost more than $400,000. Aidan quickly tells the Irish Times, Alana Gallagher. Understandably, Aidan explains to the Times he intends to sell Loftus Hall to someone who's willing to put in the effort. I'm not just going to sell it to anyone, he says. I'll be interviewing potential buyers. If a state body comes in, that's an option. If an American owner wants to live here, I'd be keen to work with them to restore it. And that is the end of the article. All right, this article is from ScienceAlert.com, and the title is There's a Detectable Human-Made Barrier Surrounding Earth. In 2017, NASA space probes detected a massive human-made barrier surrounding Earth, and tests have confirmed that it's actually having an effect on space weather far beyond our planet's atmosphere. That means we're not just changing Earth so severely. Scientists are calling for a whole new geological epoch to be named after us. Our activities have been changing space too. But the good news is that unlike our influence on the planet itself, the humongous bubble we created out in space is actually working in our favor. Back in 2012, NASA launched 2 space probes to work in tandem with each other as they whizzed through Earth's Van Allen belts at speeds around 3,200 kilometers an hour, which is 2,000 miles per hour. Our planet is surrounded by 2 such radiation belts and a temporary third one. The inner belt stretches from around 640 to 9,600 kilometers, or 400 to 6,000 miles, above Earth's surface, while the outer belt occupies an altitude of roughly 13,500 to 58,000 kilometers, or 8,400 to 36,000 miles. Last year, the Van Allen probes detected something strange as they monitored the activity of charged particles caught within Earth's magnetic field. These dangerous solar discharges were being kept at bay by some kind of low-frequency barrier. When researchers investigated, they found that this barrier had been actively pushing the Van Allen belts away from Earth over the past few decades. And now the lower limits of the radiation streams are actually further away from us than they were in the 1960s. So what's changed? A certain type of communications called very low frequencies, VLF radio communications, have become far more common now than in the 60s. And the team at NASA confirmed that they can influence how and where certain particles in space move about. In other words, thanks to VLF, we now have anthropogenic or human-made space weather. A number of experiments and observations have figured out that under the right conditions, radio communication signals in the VLF frequency range can in fact affect the properties of high-energy radiation environment around the Earth, said one of the team, Phil Erickson from the MIT Haystack Observatory in Massachusetts back in 2017. Most of us won't have much to do with VLF signals in our everyday life, but they're a mainstay in many engineering, scientific, and military operations. With frequencies between 3 and 30 kilohertz, they're far too weak to carry audio transmissions, but they're perfect for broadcasting coded message across long distances or deep underwater. One of the most common uses of VLF signals is to communicate with deep-sea submarines, but because of their large wavelengths, can diffract around large obstacles such as mountain ranges. They're also used to achieve transmissions across tricky terrain. It was never the intention for VLF signals to go anywhere other than on Earth, but it turns out they've been leaking into space surrounding our planet and have lingered long enough to form a giant protective bubble. When the Van Allen probes compared the location of the VLF bubble to the bounds of Earth's radiation belts, they found what initially looked like an interesting coincidence. The outward extent of the VLF bubble corresponds almost exactly to the inner edge of the Van Allen radiation belt, said NASA. But once they realized the VLF signals can actually influence the movement of the charged particles within these radiation belts, they realized that our unintentional human-made barrier has been progressively pushing them back. One of the team, Dan Baker, from the University of Colorado's Laboratory for Atmospheric and Space Physics, referred to this as the impenetrable barrier. While our protective VLF bubble is probably the best influence we humans have made on the space surrounding our planet, it's certainly not the only one. We've been making our mark on space since the 19th century, and particularly over the past 50 years, when nuclear explosions were all the rage. These explosions created artificial radiation belts near Earth that resulted in major damages to several satellites, the NASA team explained. Other anthropogenic impacts on the space environment included chemical release experiments, high-frequency wave heating of the ionosphere, and the interaction of VLF waves with the radiation belts. Astronomer Carl Sagan wanted to find unequivocal indications of life on Earth from up in space. Turns out there are a bunch of them if you know where to look. And that is the end of the article. Now, this is absolutely groundbreaking if you think about it. The fact that the outermost edge of this bubble is right up against the innermost edge of the radiation belts means that it's literally pushing that radiation belt away from us. So if you think about that, what we have is a shield. Okay, we have created a bubble around Earth, a shield around our Earth that protects us from high radiation. Okay, it's going to protect us from like solar flares, solar storms, those kind of things possibly as well. Very interesting, very cool stuff. I might do an episode on staring about this and get into way more detail about it than I'm going to do here. But this is absolutely an amazing discovery. And to think that we made this by accident is actually pretty damn cool. This next article comes from CNN, and the headline is Tokyo has a drive-in haunted house, and it's terrifying. Pretty amazing. It was uploaded on the 14th of August, 2020. Tokyo, CNN. We can all agree that screaming is a pivotal part of a great haunted house experience. But at a time when exhalation is discouraged because of the pandemic, a Japanese company has created an attraction that allows social distancing guidelines yet remains absolutely terrifying, a drive-in haunted house. I can't even pronounce that word, we're just going to say K. A Japanese haunted house and horror event production company claims the concept is the first of its kind. With the virus, I knew there would be no way we could have a traditional haunted house, with all that screaming in a small confined space. Kenta Hawana, K's founder, tells CNN Travel. When I read that drive-through theaters were making a comeback, it was my aha moment. Stuck in a pitch-black, zombie-infested garage. The haunted house drive-in, located in a covered parking garage in a nondescript building in downtown Tokyo, gives visitors a 360-degree front-row experience that simulates being stuck in a car during a zombie outbreak. You can use your own car for $75, or if you're like many Tokyoites and don't own one, they will provide a vehicle for $85. Given you're just sitting in the garage, no driver's license is needed. Visitors turn off the engine and the garage shutter closes, plunging the vehicle into total darkness. Drivers receive a set of Bluetooth speakers and the spooky tale begins. Around these parts, there's a legend that the ghosts attack humans. Honk your horn 3 times if you want to hear more, says the voice from the speaker in Japanese. For the next 17 minutes, blood-soaked ghouls and zombies press up against the windows and rock the car. Fear not, somehow you will live through it. And this right here is a picture of, apparently, the blood-soaked ghoul messing with your car. Look at all the blood on that car. What a mess. I mean, that's just absolutely insane. Extra blood and cleaning services. With Tokyo battling another wave of infections, the company says it's taking every precaution to protect both its actors and customers. Each car is wiped down with alcohol to minimize risks for the ghost actors. Rental cars are lined in plastic, which is changed for every customer. Afterward, the car is wiped clean of the fake blood and potential viruses from the hands of the ghosts. There is fine print on the website that says we cannot remove every drop of blood. It will be clean enough to drive on the road. There's also an extra bloody package available for an additional $9. Summer is traditionally peak season for ghost stories in Japan, a popular way to chill out on a hot night. Juana says scary films and games have always been part of his life. My parents rented horror movies and let me watch them. Played Biohazard, Resident Evil 7 since I was 3, says Iwana. Ghosts are like Pokemon to me. He dropped out of university 6 years ago to turn his passion into a business, staging haunted houses and creating bespoke thrillers. Anywhere anyone asks me, including amusement parks, arcades, and private homes. Founded on Halloween Day in 2018, K roughly translates to the Scaredy Squad in Japanese. With all the self-restraint permeating in society due to that thing, he wanted to show that it was okay for people to have some fun. The drive-in haunted house experience started out as a summer-only attraction in July, with tickets selling out the day they went on sale. Now there's a waiting list of more than 1,000 people, says Iwana. Given its immense popularity, he says they're bringing it back when temperatures cool, as August is too hot to run the haunted drive-in. And that is the end of the article. And in case you're wondering why I'm not saying that name, and I'm saying the thing or the virus or the pandemic instead, is because YouTube will censor me if I say that thing. And I'm just now getting back to the point where my channel is starting to be normal again. After I talked about some stuff I wasn't supposed to talk about, they completely demonetized me for a while and totally banned me to where they wouldn't even recommend my videos to anybody or anything. So I'm not doing that again. So we're going to call it the thing. But that is the end of that article. All right, this article is from thedailyvoice.com, and the headline is Woman Reports Seeing Bigfoot Swinging Tree to Tree in Hudson Valley. It's written by Joe Lombardi, and it was published 8/4/2020. The Hudson Valley's lead researcher of Bigfoot says a reported sighting has occurred this summer. The researcher, Gail J. Betty, says she was informed of the sighting on Thursday, July 2nd, when she received a phone call from a woman in Dutchess County who is working as a landscaper on a property in Hyde Park. The woman's name is strictly confidential, as is the precise location of the incident, Betty said. Might be Beatty. The woman described the creature as being approximately 6 foot to 7 foot in height and reddish brown, and said it moved through the trees like a monkey, according to Beatty. The incident happened after the woman, who had been weeding the garden, was told to dump the weeds down a trail a couple of 100 feet behind the barn, Beatty wrote in a Facebook post. After dumping the weeds, the wheelbarrow dropped, making a loud noise, the woman said. Suddenly, from approximately 50 feet away, she sees and hears something crashing through the thick vegetation, parting the brush towards her, according to Beatty. Beatty said the creature then jumped in the tree above her, leaving the woman in shock and disbelief, as it began using its arms to swing from tree to tree, moving away from her. Beatty said she has had several reports from Hyde Park area over the last few years, leading her to believe there is a clan living there. And that is the end of the article. You don't hear very often about Bigfoot swinging through the trees like Tarzan, or like some kind of jungle monkey. This next article is from WOKQ.com, and the headline is Haunted Hotel in New Hampshire Has Spooky History. It was written by Jess Tyler, and it was published August 10th, 2020. I wouldn't say that I'm brave enough to want to stay at a haunted hotel, but I do love to hear the stories behind them. One of the most haunted hotels is located right here in New Hampshire, and even former presidents stayed there. Mount Washington Hotel in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire has a rich history. According to HauntedRooms.com, the hotel was built back in 1902. by a wealthy businessman named Joseph Stickney. He and his beloved bride Carolyn lived there when Joseph died from a heart attack. The story goes that Carolyn was left alone to roam the halls, missing her husband. She eventually married and left the hotel, but after that husband also died. Carolyn came back to Bretton Woods and lived the rest of her days in the hotel that Joseph built for her. According to HauntedRooms.com, guests and staff alike say to this day they have spotted a ghost that looks exactly like Carolyn looking over the balcony and descending stairs at dinner time. Carolyn's room, number 314, is still available to rent, but be prepared to be woken up in the middle of the night. Guests have reported seeing a woman sitting on the end of the bed, slowly brushing her hair, according to HauntedRooms.com. I think I'll pass on that room. Many people have been brave enough to stay there, though. And this is a YouTube video underneath here that shows some evidence from there. We're not going to watch that. I try not to click on YouTube videos in articles because I don't want to take the credit away from the people. So you can go here to the site and click on that yourself if you want to watch that video. According to the website, many famous people have stayed at the Mount Washington Hotel, including Thomas Edison, the Vanderbilts, and 3 U.S. presidents. The hotel was purchased by some businessmen back in 1991 and now features luxurious rooms and amenities. And that is the end of the article. So that is an example of the paranormal news videos that I've been doing. I thought it would be interesting and informative because I read hundreds of different articles and studies and stuff like that a week. That's why I am so prepared and so well informed for the episodes of Staring that we do. And I thought it might be useful and helpful for other people in the paranormal to have access to a lot of this information as well. I also plan on doing on the channel some different lore videos where I talk about old mythologies and legends and go through old documents and stuff like that. Basically, what I want to try to do is present a lot of the actual source material that we base our shows on to the audience and to other researchers and people in the paranormal. By doing so, I hope to grow the knowledge base of the people in the paranormal field so that everybody has more information. More information is always a good thing in my mind. Also, there's really no place to go to find all of this in one place. To get all the information that I get when I'm researching a show, and just in general to be aware of what's going on in the field and to have ideas for new shows, I spend probably 80 to 100 hours a week reading articles, researching, reading different studies, and stuff like that. So if I can take some of that information and make videos of it so that you have access to it as well, then every one of you will have a place where you can go and find pretty much whatever you're looking for. That's the goal. Now, I will always fall short of that, obviously, because there is so much information that there's no way possible that I could cover every single thing that anybody might be interested in. But I can give you a whole lot of stuff that you don't know, and a whole lot of stuff that you didn't even know existed. On a lot of these little local affiliate stations, like Fox 7 in Chicago or whatever, all these little local sites, you find a lot of witness reports for different cryptid creatures and different monsters and hauntings and all kinds of stuff like that. Now, that's not something that is presented ever on a national level. That's something that you have to go to each one of the individual little local areas and watch their news to get that information. So by doing it this way, what I'm hoping to do is to bring a lot more of those witness accounts, a lot more of that information to the general awareness of the paranormal community. That's my goal for this series and for the show. That's what I hope to do. We'll see how it works out. On all of these videos, you will actually be able to see the articles as I'm presenting them. You will get to watch the video that I'm talking about on the episode, all that stuff. All the video is there in the YouTube video. Obviously, on the radio, you're not going to be able to watch the video. The video of the doll that was kicking its feet in the TikTok video was really, really creepy. On the YouTube channel, that is on one of the episodes. It's, I think, the second one I did. The title of it is something like Haunted Doll Moving by Itself and Bubble Around the Earth or something like that. You'll be able to watch that video for yourself. It is extremely creepy. Now, could it be faked? Maybe. I don't know. There's not enough information to make a judgment, really, but it is cool looking. So y'all go check that out. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Old Boy will be back next week, and we will be presenting you with a very weird story that we found about a guy who was killing people and making them into barbecue or something like that. And it's really crazy. That's what we were planning on doing this week, but Old Boy had the death in the family, and family's more important than anything else. So he has to take care of that. I understand that. When he talked to me about it, I told him, dude, do what you got to do. You know what I mean? We'll figure it out. So thank you very much for all your support. Thank you for watching, and we will see you fresh and ready next week. Until I speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do we. Bye-bye.
In order for the light to shine so brightly, the darkness must be present. Tune in every Monday at 10 o'clock for Dark Sun Rising on the ParaX Radio Network.
Hey there. I don't know if you've heard, but there's a great new radio show on ParaX. 2 hosts, 1 hour, and too much fun. Stephanie and Heidi not only talk about the latest goings-on in the supernatural worlds, they live it. They want to hear from you. They want to help you understand and guide you. And they want you to tune in. So, grab a friend or come alone to gather around that metaphysical table with Heidi and Stephanie. If you're interested in the worlds of the unseen, tune in to the Gathering Radio Show, Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern on ParaX Radio.
Good evening, paranormal lovers. My name is Ra, and I'm reporting from the subterranean lair of the mystical Spiral Radio. If you're looking to listen to the best paranormal discussions this side of the Kuiper Belt, then tune in every Friday from 8 to 9 p.m. and awaken to the beauty of your own consciousness. That's Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern. Let the ParaX Radio Network upgrade your gray matter. Spiral out.